differentiate between person and behavior. This is linked to what we were saying earlier. You say that the message that you want to give your child is that you disapprove of the behavior. You don't want to say that you're a bad person because you're doing this. You want to say that, the behavior is wrong, what you're doing. It's wasting your time. So make sure that the way you communicate is that the focus is on the behavior and not on the child. Because otherwise you're labeling the child in a negative way. And sometimes what happens is that even as adults, when we find that routinely somebody gives us a negative label, then we just stop bothering about that person and we say, I'm like that only. You must see in your friendships, relationships or anything, even between spouses, if you find that constantly you're not something and you're being told that you are like this, you're good for nothing, or you never listen, or you're always bored, you start behaving like that. So even with the child, the same thing happens. Be available and supportive. It's not related to their achievement, but you need to be available as a parent for your child all the time. You need to be there to support the child. So if you're mentally preoccupied or if your life is too busy, nowadays both the parents are working, so that itself is like, less time for the child. But even whether you're working or not working, we're talking about the quality of time, not the quantity of time. So mentally be available, even if you are at your work, and mentally you should have an idea what the child is doing and be available. Like you should be like a phone call away for your child. Anybody wants to say anything? Comments, questions? Okay. Give unconditional love. Any psychological forum that you attend, any talk, this word will be always used, unconditional love, whether it's for an adult or child. Because unconditional love means that you love your child. You tell your child that I love you, period. You don't say I love you because you're so good in your studies, or I am not very happy with you, look at your grades. That shows that your love is based on the child's performance in school. Of course you want to give them goals, you want them to achieve better. But there is also this whole sense of that I love you, it doesn't matter if you fail. That will give them that reassurance, that confidence, that being your child is something special and something unique, and the achievement is external, it's secondary. That itself, when you do something like that, you will feel, although you may think that okay, maybe unless I tell the child that I love you because of your marks or something, that when you foster self-esteem in your child, it will help the child to achieve better. It's not necessarily that only focusing on achievement will help the child. This way it's like you're having your cake and eating it also. You have a double win-win situation. You have a child with a healthy self-esteem, and you also have a child who scores well in his exams.
A clear message has to be given. You achieve or not achieve, but you love.
Exactly.
You achieve good enough, foster that.
Right.
It's a different issue. But
right.
If it fails,
Right. Right. We are just saying is that if you focus it on the self-esteem, then as a byproduct, the achievement will be there, ambition will be there. Because once you feel good about yourself, you want to do things. If you're feeling low and depressed or low self-esteem, then even your achievement is affected because of that. Comparison, we feel that it helps, it motivates and it works, but it has the opposite effect.
this happens in many families.
Yeah, all the time. I mean, you're comparing between the siblings, or you're comparing with cousins or with friends. You think it's going to help them to achieve better, but it has the opposite effect. I mean, any child, even as an adult, you think of yourself, even when you were a child, you never like to be compared, because we are all unique creations. Configuration is, every person's configuration is different. So unless your parent recognizes that, you don't feel loved. Okay. Whether you are a parent, you ought not to feel guilty about your parenting style or the amount of or the kind of parenting that you give to your child. Because whether you act out of ignorance, you act out of knowledge, you act out of experience, you're doing your best. That's the best that you can do at that time. And the whole idea when we are talking or sharing tips with you is that most of the time what kind of attitudes will help you, what kind of behaviors will help you. So it's about most of the time. But you will slip up and you will sometimes just be nasty with your teenager, or sometimes you will have an ego struggle with your teenager. All those things will happen. It's not that you're going to have a perfect relationship. But most of the time, what is your attitude? What is your behavior like? So most of the time if you fit into a positive, relatively positive framework, then you are good. So don't go into a guilt trip in any which way, whether you are a parent. And on the other side, don't make your child go through any guilt trip because you are slogging your ass because to give them a good life. I mean, everybody is today working hard, so the parents often use this as this thing. I'm working so hard and you're wasting my time and you're wasting my money. I'm putting tuitions for you. I had struggled so hard in my life and you're getting everything on a plate. Those are those common kind of things that I've heard, which are very well-meaning. Of course, you have struggled and you're really giving your child the best. But when you say it like that, I mean, the child, it creates, instead of motivating the child, it creates a lot of guilt. And it's a very heavy burden for a child to bear because they're struggling with their whatever achievement and all that. And then they have to bear this whole idea of that, okay, my parent is struggling so hard to give me this and I'm not able to achieve. So it becomes like a double pressure. It works as a stress on their mind.
So how to do, the point is definitely very much right. But how to build up that value, that child must know value of money. And it's not, if you don't have something, child will not know. Let's say, जितना भी आता है pocket money वो खर्चे का दूसरे दिन वापस pocket money आएगा.
Right.
We must know that our parents are struggling to get the money. We must know the value of money.
Right.
Realize. Of course, he should not feel guilty. It is a mistake. But spending, overspending, should be curbed somewhere. So he must know the value of money.
Right.
So how to
Does anybody want to answer that?
My question was very similar because nowadays...
No, I'm saying if you're asking another question, let's wait to answer his.
It's the same bag.
Okay.
You will see school children having mobile phones in their bag. Now, as to the best of my knowledge, anybody under 18 cannot possess a mobile phone. But yet, the children want to. This is a very common phenomenon.
Right.
So in that case, how does the parent react? What should the parent do?
See, we are all here to think together on what works and what doesn't work. The technology and times are changing so far that today everybody has become baffled. If you're asking a psychologist, yes, we know what works. But the way certain different dimensions have come in, I'm saying even psychologists are as baffled as parents, so to speak, on what works and what doesn't work. And your individual values that you impart and the kind of family culture that you create in your home is very important, to answer the question. I mean, what are the value? What is your family culture related to money? Do you have an indulgent family culture where everybody is like, very easygoing and spending and all the time you're eating out? There's not much value to how much you spend. Or do you have a conservative value, related to money? That, we have to eat at home and we have to save and what is it? So you and your spouse, I mean, the couple has to be... I'm saying is because you are providing the framework for your child and they are growing within that framework. So if you're giving them a lot of deal in the beginning and then suddenly you find that either you are facing some financial this thing. See, children are extremely adaptable, they're extremely open. The more you can share with them, the more you can mold them, they will go along with you. But from the beginning, if you've given them very luxurious lifestyle, a lot of indulgence, then and if you try to pull back, you'll find it difficult. In that also, if you taper it and you take it step by step and try to pull the rein, it can work. But suddenly it will not work. So money value can be created. I mean, many parents I have seen, they give pocket money and they give a pocket money based on whatever their lifestyle is and how much the child will be spending. So weekly pocket money is given. So they learn the value of money and things like that. And you can always create, achievement related goals, whether gifts are concerned or other things, that if you get so much and then you get this and That you can always encourage your child like that.
Communication also plays a very vital role. What we say. No.
Yeah.
Many times, we talk only when something goes wrong. Then we communicate each other, the child and the parent, and it is always negative for both the sides.
Right.
But when there is a good environment in the house or something